You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
Well, Black and White sports fans, we got some bombshell news that just came down from the Supreme Court. You guys probably already know that Joe Biden and his administration actually tried to rewrite Title IX. Title IX was actually designed to actually help women, but Joe Biden and his administration wanted to destroy women. Joe Biden wanted to change Title IX to include gender identity. And if he actually got his way, folks, the invasion of men and women's sports was going to be immense. We have already seen men identifying as women go over into women's sports and destroy them. You guys already saw what happened in the Olympics, where you actually had two males, XY chromosome males, actually go in and dominate the women. They both came out with gold medals, and it wasn't even close. Now, that's not a transgender case right there. It's DSD. We get that. But if you actually wanted to talk about the transgender invasion, Leah Thomas, Will Thomas, a man, he actually was swimming on the UPenn swim team for 3 years? And then in his final season, he said, you know what? I feel like a woman. I'm going to jump over there and compete against women and destroy them. That's exactly what he did, folks, because he was ranked something like 470 when it came to competing against men, but competing against women, ranked number one, won an NCAA title, stole women's awards, man. Crazy. And he even tried to manipulate the Olympic system because the governing body of swimming said, no, you cannot participate. But boy, we got some bombshell news here to talk about, man, because this is a huge win for women's sports. Let's get into it, guys. Make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to the channel, become a channel member, live stream every single Friday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. You guys can also support us by becoming a member on blackandwhitenetwork.com or supporting us on Locals, both for just $5 per month. Check the links in the description. So here we go, guys. Right here, Supreme Court refuses DOJ requests to partially reinstate new Title IX rule. And the Supreme Court said, no, it's not going to happen. We're actually going to protect women. Now, this is a 5-4 decision. Now, Neil Gorsuch actually went along with the liberals right there. Kind of surprising, a bit disappointing. But overall, the Supreme Court said, no, Biden, we're not going to let you destroy women and women's sports. Says here, the Supreme Court in a 5-4 decision denied the Biden administration's emergency request to partially reinstate its new Title IX rule. The sweeping changes to Title IX, which protects against sex discrimination in schools, cover sexual orientation and gender identity for the first time. Various Republican state attorney generals have persuaded judges to block implementation in roughly half the country. The Biden administration contended those injunctions went too far, urging the Supreme Court to narrow them to primarily block the prohibitions on gender identity discrimination at the center of the challenges, allowing the other changes to go into effect. Those updates, which were set to go into effect on August 1st, span from accommodations for pregnant students to retaliation protections to record-keeping requirements. So the Supreme Court, man, has denied Beijing Biden. And Riley Gaines, man, who has been at the forefront of protecting women's sports, put this out. Breaking. In a 5-4 decision, SCOTUS has struck down the Biden-Harris, and I must admit, Harris, she's actually on top of the ticket now, administration's rewrite of Title IX, which would have allowed men in women's sports, bathrooms, locker rooms, dorms, and compelled speech. Huge win, onward. Yes, I mean, Joe Biden, man, this is the most radical administration that we have ever seen, man. Remember, Joe Biden was the one that actually was allowing transgenders onto the grounds of the White House during Pride Month, and they were actually stripping down naked. The outrage was so immense, guys, that those transgenders actually exposing themselves got banned from the White House. Yeah, this is what Joe Biden actually wanted to do, man. This is what he wanted to do. He is the virtue signaler in chief occupying the Oval Office, man. And Kamala Harris's policies would be no different. We cannot let Kamala Harris get into the White House, man, or women's sports, man, could be done. But thank God for the Supreme Court. Now, on a state level, that could actually be different. Now, California is definitely going to allow, transgenders to actually destroy women's sports. Oregon as well. We've seen it, guys. We've actually covered it, man. I mean, some of the things that's happened to females in sports has been so dangerous, man. We actually did talk about the volleyball player that actually got a ball spiked in her face. This woman today, man, is like paralyzed, injured. She still has not recovered, man. That's what we're talking about. And Joe Biden was not going to protect her whatsoever. He was going to go along with the far left agenda to actually make sure that these men keep infiltrating women's sports. And it's a disaster, man. I mean, Joe Biden is not for women. Let's just be clear. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are not for women. I mean, if this actually passed through, man, the floodgates would have opened across the country. There would have been an active push to actually have males in women's spaces, the locker rooms, competing in sports. And eventually, guys, males identifying as women would have came in and wiped out women completely in their sports. And you know what? In a lot of cases, man, a lot of women would have voted for this. I mean, voting actually has consequences, folks. It does. Because a vote for Kamala Harris is a vote for men and women's sports. If you're a woman and you're saying, hey, I don't want these men in my locker room, well, you better change your voting habits. It is just that simple. But this is a huge win right here. Women's sports is actually saved on a federal level here because what Joe Biden was doing with Title IX was complete insanity. That's just my thoughts on this. What do you guys think of this? Black and white sports fans, let us know what you think about all this in the comments. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. And we'll catch you next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.